Merci. Pour continuer cette session, j'appelle Monsieur Ángel Gurría, secrétaire général de l'Organisation de coopération et de développement économique. Monsieur Gurría.
Cher Loïc Benedito, Her Royal Highness, Peter, Julia, ladies and gentlemen, as His Royal Highness just mentioned, we've achieved a lot of progress as a water community over the years, and it's encouraging. The MDGs for water have been met. The 2 billion people have gained access to improved water since 1990. Aid to water and sanitation has doubled over the past 10 years. And water is finally becoming a central issue in the international, the G20s and the GGs, the G8s and now, of course, Rio Plus 20, which is a very big forum indeed. So I think all that is good. Now, however, the gaps between our aspirations and what is really happening on the ground is still significant. Many people have access to water today, but it's not necessarily to safe water. And with urbanization outpacing connections to water, there are now more city dwellers without water access than in 1990, which is a very big paradox. Now, the Millennium Development Goals on access to sanitation is far from being met. Disappointingly, aid flows are still low in relation to the scale of the challenge. I would like to underline what His Royal Highness just mentioned. So if we simply stick to business as usual, what will the water outlook be for the next decades? Well, we just published the OECD Environmental Outlook to 2050, and the chapter on water, which is available at the stand, by the way, suggests that in the context of rapid urbanization, population and economic growth, water demand is projected to increase by 55% until 2050. By then, we have projected that almost 4 billion people, so about 40% of the world's population, are likely to be living in river basins facing severe water stress. Hundreds of millions will still have lack to basic improved water, and about 1.4 billion will still lack access to basic sanitation. This is if we just let the inertia go. Increased flows of nitrogen, phosphorus, pesticides from agriculture, and poor wastewater treatment will further contaminate groundwater, rivers, and oceans, harming human health and the environment. So it is appropriate that the theme of the forum is time for solutions. Indeed, this must be our highest priority. Now, the OECD is contributing to this effort. Following on the environmental outlook, we have now gone out and produced Meeting the Water Challenge, so specific issues on solutions for water, which we're going to launch tomorrow in our side event. And what does it suggest? What are the issues to be addressed? First of all, sustainable financing. That lies at the heart of many of the solutions to improve water management, not just in developing countries. Actually, just maintain and develop the necessary facilities in water and sanitation in OECD countries, if you add the larger emerging economies, Brazil, China, India, Russia, could be up to 1% of their GDP per year. This means that today we're spending about 580 billion per year. This could take it up by, let's say, 2015, 2020 to about 800 billion, and by around 2030, it could be around 1 trillion. So that means doubling practically what we have today. And this is just in the larger countries and the OECD countries. Now, in developing countries, substantial funding is already required just to maintain existing water supplies. I stress, just to maintain existing water supply and sanitation in these countries. Of course, if we want to make further progress and not just go, because of course the MDG was to halve. Here we're talking about going towards eliminating the whole deficit. Now, in our report, we've also identified concrete policies to mobilize sustainable finance. Key amongst these is the need to take a strategic approach to financial planning. Long-term sustainable financial planning in water is absolutely essential. Now, a right mix of the 3 T's, tariffs, taxes, transfers, the 3 T's which are really the only sources of financing for water, which way you want to cut them, which way you want to mix them, but a proper one that is sustainable. We also have to shift private investment to support green infrastructure. When you're talking about pension funds, for example, they have, literally trillions, tens of trillions of resources that they're managing. Very little goes to infrastructure, even less goes to water and to green infrastructure. Also, part of the problems, we have to empower people to make sustainable choices, but people who lack access to basic water or energy services don't have choices. And this is an absolute element of empowerment. There's also questions of effective governance. There's a fundamental need to provide the water sector with a stable set of institutions and a strong regulatory framework. So we have identified at the OECD some governance instruments that can help build capacity and coordinate water policies. These will be discussed also at the forum, and this is water governance in OECD countries. Why is this important? It's a multi-level approach. What do we mean? Water is local. We know it's local, but the solutions have to be at the basin level, they have to be at the regional level, they have to be at the state level, they have to be at the federal level. Sometimes when you have basins, you have several countries involved. That coordination is basic for the proper governance of water, and we have not done enough progress there. Finally, coherence and consistency are necessary to ensure that our policies on water, energy, food, and the environment work together and not against each other. Sometimes these are predicated as if they were absolutely contrarian and on a collision course with each other. Unraveling historical policy and institutional legacies, as well as sharing information, are key steps towards more coherent policies. Agricultural support and fossil fuel subsidies are just 2 examples. On the fossil fuel subsidies, of course, I don't have to tell you, they are more important in dollar terms than agricultural. And when you're talking about agricultural, we just, tomorrow we are also going to unveil this water quality and agricultural meeting the policy challenge. As you can see, we've been working hard for you, Loic, and to present all these findings in the forum. But effectively, we highlight a number of concrete actions that can be taken to address the issues at the interface of water and agricultural policy. Ladies and gentlemen, without major policy changes in the management of water, we're putting our health, our environment, and our economies in jeopardy. But with sustainable financing, effective governance, coherent policies, governments can unleash the full potential of water and make it a major driver of growth, of human and social development. It is encouraging that many of these crucial issues will be discussed here in Marseille. And it is our duty to make sure that these discussions translate into action to design and promote better water policies for better lives. Thank you.